Podcast Studios. This is After 9 with Scott and Kat.
Hey now.
Hello.
Kat, what's going on?
Actually, Kate, I'm going to say it. It does feel like a short week.
Oh, really?
I know. I just.
Really?
Now, tomorrow's going to feel like 9 years or something's going to happen, but it does feel like a short week. This is flying by. It's already Thursday. Happy Thursday, everybody.
We've got a lot to talk about in this episode of After 9, so as always, we'll blow through a couple of things and stop down when we feel we need to. StatsCan released a new report yesterday, Kat, on the international students and the living conditions that they're dealing with here in Canada. I'd like to remind you that we are a G7 country. We are a formerly wealthy nation.
Yeah.
We have some of the top academic institutions in the world. It's no surprise that people want to go to our schools. We let in over 1 million international students last year, a 29% increase over 2022.
Holy cow. That's
over
a lot.
Over 1 million of them.
That's a lot.
And maybe you're wondering, okay, well, 1 million. Canada's a huge country. There's room for them. Not really.
Most of them go to certain schools?
The study found that international students, especially from India, were more likely to live in unsuitable housing than their Canadian-born counterparts. Brampton, Ontario, and Surrey, BC have the largest proportions of Indian students. More than 60% of international students were living in unsuitable housing in Brampton and Surrey, BC alone. Unsuitable housing. Now, for those who don't know, maybe you're not listening in Canada right now, we have a major homelessness problem because we let in 1 million more people than we should have. And apparently it's more than 1 million because there's 1 million international students alone. And we didn't have anywhere to put them. That's why they're scrambling to build a house two of them every minute is what they say. So what's going on here is we're full of it. We're not building 2 houses a minute.
No.
And
we're really on track for that. Not.
But we are putting up people in weird places. Like we've created these encampment cities where we basically built up a whole bunch of sheds and shacks and then called it a community. And we made the homeless people go and stay there. And some of them like it, some of them don't, but that apparently is suitable housing, sticking somebody in a shack right next to the community center. So for them to say unsuitable housing makes me wonder how bad it is for these international students who paid money to come here and go to one of our educational institutions. And then when they got here, there's no room in res for you. You're going to have to rent somewhere. Then you end up with 15 people that are living in somebody's basement apartment, sleeping on air mattresses and showering in the sink.
Yeah, I don't know how they're living that way. The people who are doing that, they can't be happy.
They can't be
happy.
This is not what people thought when they thought, I'm going to go live in Canada for a semester.
Not what you signed up for.
No, you're living in someone's fucking backyard and they're charging you $1,000 a month to do it. It's messed up. So now they've really cut back on the amount of international students that are allowed to come in. Well, that has a negative effect on the universities and colleges who were relying on that income. Now they're saying we either need more funding or we need a hell of a lot more Canadians to go to school in Canada because they need that international enrollment. But there's nowhere for them to go. How much responsibility do you think the schools bear for this? I would think that if you're going to invite somebody to move here from Mumbai for a school year, there should be a bed for them to sleep in. And they should book it in advance and say, hey, I'm going to go to school there and I need a room. If you say you need a room, we'll set one aside for you.
That's humane. Like, that just seems humane to me. Otherwise, what are we doing?
Right.
I mean, look around. I'll tell you what we're doing. We've seen it. We're seeing it happen.
Oh, we totally are. So now these people came here and there's no spot in res. They're sleeping in horrible conditions and living that way, paying way too much money for the privilege of living in somebody's basement with 14 other people. It's really, really bad. These schools, however, run by executives that are getting like $500,000 a year salaries.
Yeah.
Why don't they just build more housing? It seems like a lucrative opportunity. There's so many schools that have got this figured out. They've got enough residence spots for the students that need it. And some of them even rent out those spots in the summer like a hotel. And then they use their travel and tourism or hospitality students to run it. This should be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But how many schools do you see breaking ground on new residences? Conestoga's doing it, but there aren't many, Kat.
No, there's not. No, there's not. It's an issue.
Sorry if you came here to get educated in Canada. Hopefully your degree worked out for you.
Yeah.
We treated you like garbage.
And then don't we just kick people out afterwards in some cases too?
Some of them don't leave.
Right. Okay.
That's why we don't even know how many people are here now because so many people came in and didn't leave when they were supposed to.
How do you keep track? And that's the thing is like, and I guess that's a tale as old as time, right? A lot of countries have this issue, but how do you even keep track of that?
Yeah.
And how much resources can you possibly put toward it when it's in an amount that's insane? Like you can't even keep up with that.
Air tags.
Air tags?
From now on, I think
Implants.
Implants and air tags. I think anybody who comes here to get an education or to claim asylum, you should need to wear an air tag around your wrist or something like that so we can keep track of you. And when immigration says, nope, you do not have a valid asylum claim, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have been here in the first place. I'm kidding, by the way. We can't stick air tags to immigrants. I'm shocked.
I was saying implants, so I mean, I went one level above.
With the dipshits running this place, you'd think they'd tried to think of that, but I doubt it would go over very well. Today's a huge day in our sports history. It is now official. Toronto's getting a WNBA team.
Exciting stuff.
It is. It is Kilmer Sports and Entertainment, or Sports Ventures. That is Larry Tenenbaum, who is a co-owner of MLSE. He's going this one alone, and I want to know how long it's going to take for MLSE to say, we should have got in on that.
Mm-hmm.
Can we buy in? Can we buy in? They're going to do it. Apparently, the WNBA team is going to split its time. It's going to play in Toronto, but a few of the games are going to be played in Montreal.
Okay. Oh, spread it around in the beginning. That's nothing wrong with that because you're getting the awareness out there. This is by all means going to be Canada's WNBA team.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
There probably won't be a second one. We don't even have a second NBA team.
Exactly, right? And Raptors, by all means, is Canada's basketball team. So this basically will be. So I'm all good with them spreading it around a little bit, give a lot of different cities a chance to see them in action, and then maybe they'll get more interested and more involved.
Well, what you're saying is common sense and a great idea. What they're doing is not.
Oh, no.
They're going to play in Toronto, and they're going to play a couple games in Montreal. At what point are we going to acknowledge that there's a lot more to Canada than Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal?
Right.
This hour has 22 minutes. Had a great joke this week. They were talking about the top 100 fine dining restaurants in Canada. Who's number one? They said, well, unless you live in Toronto, Vancouver, or Montreal, it's still the Keg.
Right.
Because all the nice restaurants are in those three cities.
Right.
Sorry, not all of them, but the vast majority. I think it would be great. Great for the sport. Great for the team. If they played a game in Saskatoon. Yeah. If they played a game in Lethbridge. Play a game in Halifax.
It's reminiscent to me of even like the hometown hockey that the league does, that we do here in Canada particularly, is having those professionals play in those smaller towns too. Like,
they should.
Fuck it. If there's a space for them to play, as long as it has to be like a good space. Don't put them in a shack. You know what I mean? But a good space to play and a decent amount of seats, then why not?
You know, for everybody fights over Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. If you're going to get a pro sports team, it's got to go there. Do you know how successful some of these franchises could be if they set up in Saskatoon, if they set up in Winnipeg, if they set up in Halifax? There are so many great cities in this country that would absolutely support a team. Northern Ontario is further away than Florida from where we're sitting right now. They could use a team, and it doesn't conflict with anything. I wish that we'd spread it around a little more.
Yeah.
The CFL. There's a great example. We should have a Canadian Football League team in just about every Canadian major city.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
They would all do well. Westjet is in the news for a couple of different reasons. They pointed something out, the CEO yesterday, that I didn't know. They were talking about how we could make air travel in Canada a lot more affordable. They could lower their rates if the federal government would stop charging rent. And I thought, wait a second. The feds are charging WestJet rent? No. The way they explain it is this. The airlines pay the airports. The airports collect some rent from some of the vendors in the airport, like, oh, they set up a Tim's, we set up the duty free, all those sort of things. They make money off that. But then they have to pay rent to the federal government because the airports are on federally owned lands. If the government would get its hands out of the airline industry, then WestJet wouldn't be paying so much and they could lower the fees for air travelers.
But do we ever see that happening?
Well, where does that show up in the budget? I've never seen a line item in the federal budget that said this is how much money we made from federal-owned lands and airport rentals. How much money is it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've never even heard of that. It didn't even dawn on me until we're talking about it right now, actually.
Are the feds making even more money off these airports that is indirectly causing all of our airfares to be as high as they are? If so, that's not right. They should stay out of it. But they made another announcement, and I know it's going to take some getting used to for many, but WestJet is going to be introducing their own ultra low fare. We're talking like Flair rates, but on WestJet.
Interesting.
There's a catch.
Okay. Of course there is.
You have to be willing to travel without a carry-on bag. No checked bag and no carry-on bag. It's just the seat.
Oh. What? You have nothing with you?
They say if you purchase the cheapest ultra-low fare, you will be able to stick a small suitcase. You won't be able to stick those small suitcases in the overhead bin, but you will be able to travel with a purse under the seat in front of you or a personal item like a backpack.
Well, you'd need that. If you're traveling, like you need stuff.
You do, yeah, depending on where you're going.
I don't know, even if it's a weekend. Like, I guess I could get away with a backpack maybe. Anything more than like 3 days. And also asterisks, it depends where I'm going. If I'm going somewhere where I can buy things anyway, maybe I'd be like, yeah, I'll just get something there if I need it. I feel a little more comfortable. But I don't know, man. I don't know if it's worth it. It depends on how much money I'm saving.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if we're gonna get like a $49 or $59 or $69 flight to Florida, for example, but you can't bring a checked bag or a carry-on bag, I'm good with that. I'll live out of a backpack and buy whatever I need when I get there. It'll still be cheaper than paying full pop and taking a carry-on.
Well, that's the thing is I'd like to know what the price difference is, though. That's so important.
Actually, you know what? I've got a lot of airline news today. Do you want to run through a couple of things? I think we might be able to save people some money here.
As long as we're saving money and not scaring people away.
Oh, no.
I know there's a lot of scary stories now.
It's true. There's been a lot of planes crashing and people losing their shit.
A lot of Boeing conspiracies. More of them.
Play. That's the one that flies out of Alaska and lands in and out of John C. Munro Airport in Hamilton.
Uh-huh.
They're introducing a handful of stunning overseas destinations as low as $170. Play Airlines says that for passengers traveling out of Hamilton, they've now launched routes to Berlin, Germany, Amsterdam, London, Paris, Dublin, and more.
Giddy up.
Again, $170. It's a 25% off the basic ticket price for anybody traveling out of Hamilton. This lasts until Sunday and applies to trips that are booked anytime from June 1st until New Year's Eve.
Oh, decent.
It's not bad. If you want to go to Europe this summer, you got to connect in Iceland, which is just one of the worst, most miserable experiences of your life.
Really?
Let me tell you.
Is the airport shit there? I've never had to stop over there.
So I was in fucking Reykjavik once, and I was when I was traveling a bit for going back and forth to Scotland, and the Reykjavik airport. If you're willing to stop there, you will save money. It's great. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's like halfway. It's fucking cold and it's dark and there's snow on the ground when there shouldn't be snow on the ground. Not here anyway. But it's so expensive. That airport, they know you got no other options.
You have no choices.
No.
Yeah.
It's like being at an EDM festival. They know you have no other options, so they jack up the prices on everything. I ordered a bottle of water and a personal size pizza. It was $50 US.
Whoa, outrageous.
US.
Outrageous.
I almost told him to take the pizza and throw it out in the snow. Fuck this. But I paid $50 for it, so I had to eat it and pretend it was the best pizza I've ever had in my life. Hey, listen, if you want to go to Europe, though, if you can get that kind of a rate, why not go to Europe?
Yeah.
Go for a weekend, take a backpack. You'll be loving life after that. And there's one more airline story. This one from our friends over at Flair Air. I like Flair.
Me too.
But I also like any airline that's willing to not fly out of Pearson and go out of Kitchener or go out of Hamilton or London or wherever.
I know some people have had bad experiences, but I feel like people have had bad experiences on any airline, right? For me, I've never had an awful experience at Flair.
Flair has announced it's adding more weekly routes to the Orlando International Airport with up to 18 weekly flights at its peak. Flights between Pearson and Orlando are going to kick off on December 16th with 12 flights weekly that will be priced at $114. The return trip, $54. Taxes in, $200 return.
Anytime? And this is like any time of the year kind of thing?
Well, it doesn't start until December the 16th.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, fine.
I'll take that
Yeah,
all day
you know
long.
what? That's a lot of times Flair flies to the Sanford airport too.
Yes.
Which,
Yeah.
listen,
That's not good.
I know.
No bueno. No
That's
bueno.
where I flew to. And I didn't realize at the
fuck.
time that it's a touch farther. I mean, it's not that much farther, but it's definitely farther.
You should have drove to Florida.
Well, like a dum-dum, I hopped in a cab.
Oh, no.
And the cab driver charges like $250 to get to the hotel. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I was like, what the hell's going on? And after that, we used Uber. But it was way cheaper with Uber.
Just weeks after opening its state-of-the-art aircraft assembly center, which is at Pearson Airport, a Bombardier aircraft has crashed into a fence during a recent ground run-up check.
Oh, my.
I mean,
well, that doesn't sound good.
Did you chalk the wheels? What went wrong here? Did you just open up the hangar and the plane just leaked out, like as if you'd left your garage door open and the car in neutral?
It's concerning.
It's very concerning. You know, I mean, we've got our issues with Boeing. We thought Bombardier was basically safe, and now it's rolling into a fence. It took out a light post.
Jeez.
It was a beautiful one, too.
Oh, no.
It was one of those ones that Bieber likes. You know, like the Globemaster, it'll travel all around the world on a single tank of gas. Yeah, it's nice. I don't know, it's like a $50 million plane, and it crashed
sure
into
it
a
is.
fence.
Have fun fixing that.
Yeah. Chaos yesterday on the Toronto-bound QEW when there was a car fire on the Burlington Skyway.
Oh, no. It's the worst place. I mean, it's busy there every day.
Every day.
But when there's an accident or something happening, especially to that extreme, must have been a gong show.
It was a total mess for people who live in Hamilton and Burlington. That includes me, who is greatly inconvenienced here.
Oh, no.
But it looks like what happened here is there was an initial crash and a car fire. As the car exploded, other cars that were in there stuck in the traffic jam also caught fire.
Oh, geez.
8 vehicles in total.
Is everyone okay? Everyone was okay, remarkably, or?
I believe so. So I did put in a call to Carrie Schmidt, sergeant with the OPP. They don't have the investigation completed yet. They're still trying to sort it out. I don't think anybody's seriously injured because he didn't flag that for me. But one thing I would point out is the Skyway is very high, and it goes over the Hamilton Harbor. We had wind gusts yesterday of like 90 kilometers an hour. I'm wondering if wind blew a car into another car, because on the Skyway, you can feel yourself getting blown around.
Well, even with a fire up that high with wind, you think like, oh, good, the wind will take out the fire. No, sometimes it works the exact opposite, where it will throw the fire elsewhere. That could happen too, right?
Ooh, speaking of fire, can I play something for you?
Sure.
Let's go to the House of Commons.
Prime Minister's carbon tax applies on barns, on grain drying, on fertilizers, on off-farm vehicles. It costs literally tens of thousands of dollars for many individual farmers, all of which gets passed on. But the Prime Minister, instead of defending his taxes, resorted to a really wacko and unhinged claim that if Canadians just paid more taxes, there would be suddenly less fires. I thought that water and not taxes put out fires. But maybe the Prime Minister can clarify, how high would his tax have to go for forest fires to stop?
That's a fair question, right? Did you see the PM the other day? He was talking about how the forest fires that they're experiencing in northern BC and northern Alberta.
Yeah, it's quite bad.
He says these are because of climate change. Now, there's a whole bunch of people that had campfires and shit that weren't supposed to that would disagree. However, he's doubling down on, well, it's climate change that's causing all the fires. And that's why we have a carbon tax, is to fight climate change. Okay, well then, using that logic, how much do we have to pay in carbon tax to make sure that there's no more fires? Let's hear what the number is.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are facing the impacts of the extreme weather events that come from climate change that are unfortunately getting worse and worse every year. That is why our government from 2015 onwards has stepped up in the fight against climate change, because not only are we reducing Canada's emissions to the lowest level outside the pandemic in 25 years, but we're also stepping up in the jobs and technological innovations that the world needs to successfully fight climate change. We will continue to fight climate change, Mr. Speaker, and put more money in people's pockets while he sits with his arms crossed and no plan.
So, how much?
So that wasn't an answer.
When the carbon tax quadruples next year,
Oh, God.
will we have no more fires? What a dumb way to spin it.
Yeah.
You don't have to go all in on this, but they don't understand this hyperbole
Yeah.
is just backfiring on them. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Let's play, you sent me that audio, right?
I did.
We played a neat game today on the Scott and Kat radio show of cute or cringy. I'm shocked that nobody else has stolen that idea yet. A lot of radio
Cute or
shows listen to us
cringy.
and steal our ideas.
I saw this one and I knew it was an instant nominee for cute or cringy with Scott and Kat.
We're going to let the girl herself explain this story to you. Listen to her explain how she got the guy.
Followed him to the checkout counter. I saw this really cute guy at the grocery store the other day, so naturally I followed him to the checkout counter, and when he gave the cashier his credit card, I peeped it to see what his name was. And then I Googled him and found his social media profiles, and I was able to tell that he was single. So I went through his friends list and I found his mother's page. And then I looked through his mother's page and I saw that she was a member of this book club that's in my area. So I sent a request to join the book club. So I went to the book club meeting and I met his mom there, and we bonded over some books that we both liked. And she just thought I was so nice, and I brought it up randomly in conversation that I was single. And she let me know that she had a son that was single also that lived in the area, and maybe it would be cool for us to get together and chat sometime. So I gave her my number, which she gave to her son, and this morning he texted me and asked if I'd like to get together this weekend and do something. So I guess we're gonna go on a date. I'm really excited.
He was
Holy
probably
fucking shit.
He was probably excited until he finds that TikTok of yours.
Hopefully he doesn't
What
follow
the
her.
fuck?
I want to go back to the beginning because there's so many different red flags in this.
Okay.
But right at the very beginning.
In your opinion, no,
I
I'm just
saw this
kidding.
really cute guy at the grocery store the other day, so naturally I followed him to the checkout counter.
That's a problem, right?
We are
Naturally,
3
I followed
seconds
him?
into the video and she's raising red flags.
Naturally, I stalked him all the way around the store.
Is that what's going on here? You girls see somebody hot at the grocery store and start following
Don't you
them?
paint us all with the same brush?
What do you-
Same crazy brush.
Why stop at the checkout? Why not follow him right to the car? Why not climb in the back seat? Maybe ask him if he wants a handy while he's waiting. The fuck?
Start naming your kids with him. What do you think of Corey?
I'm big on juniors. What's your name? Our boy's name is going to be you, Junior.
Oh, no.
And when he gave the cashier his credit card, I peeped it to see what his name was.
Most people might peep it to see what kind of card it is, not what the person's name
That's
is.
impressive, by the way. I don't think I could be able to see that. She must have been standing real close.
Had to have been. Had to have been.
And then I Googled him and
And you Googled him next.
Of course, that's fine. Listen, nothing wrong with Googling someone you're about to go into a date with, but Googling someone who you don't know with that intention.
I don't really love the Googling before you go out on a date
Why?
thing.
Oh, I love it. Oh, you got to get a little bit of recon there.
Okay, sure. And I mean, I do it too when I'm going to a restaurant. I'll Google the restaurant.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll take a look at the menu and see what they're offering. I'd like to see what other diners say. Reviews are helpful. Just Googling someone to see what comes up, I don't know. It's not always accurate.
I'm curious though, if she would have Googled him and found out he was married, if she would have stopped.
I don't get the impression she would have. She's a beautiful woman.
Yeah, that's the thing is, just so
She
you guys know,
doesn't look like a crazy psycho.
she looks normal. Like, is that weird to say? She looks normal.
and found his social media profiles, and I was able to tell that he was single. So I went through his friends list and I found his mother's page. And then I looked through his mother's page,
Whoa.
and I saw that she was a member of this book club that's in my area.
Like, oh my
Listen,
God.
This is someone, okay, I'm going to, hear me out. It's kind of impressive that she thought that way. Instead of like, you have him right there and you could DM him or attempt to or friend him or whatever and pretend like you accidentally, you could have made up a whole bunch of shit just to get into his face. Instead, you understand that sometimes the mom can play a big role in this. If mom likes you, there's a chance. So she goes out of her way to befriend the mom. This is next level.
Cat.
Listen, one of the texts that came in on that particular part, the detective skills are impressive. However, we can all agree it's kind of weird.
Yeah, listen here, darling. You're coming off real creepy.
So I sent a request to join the book club. So I went to the book club meeting, and I met his mom there.
Like an adult did this. An adult has, through all of this, very, very deliberately, through every step of this, tried to get closer to this guy. And while it is impressive, I don't even disagree with that person who texted in. At what point does she look in the mirror and say, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah,
what
she
am
didn't
I
stop.
doing?
She kept going.
And we bonded over some books that we both liked. And she just thought I was so nice. And I brought
And I didn't even disagree with her because I am nice.
it up randomly in conversation that I was single.
It was
Randomly
not random.
in conversation. You set this up.
You
What do
set
mean?
the whole fucking
Oh, it
thing
just so
up.
happened that I told her, like, you fucking did this. What are you talking about? You orchestrated this.
And she let me know that she had a son that was single also that lived in the area. And maybe it would be cool for us to get together and chat sometime. So I gave her my number, which she gave to her son. And this morning he texted me. And
This is going to get real creepy here when she says it because she's looking away from the camera. She's a real shy person. She won't look directly at it. Listen to this part.
asked if I'd like to get together this weekend and do something. So I guess we're going to go on a date. I'm really excited.
I bet you are.
Excited.
I'm fucking scared for that guy is what I am. That's, what did actually, let's bring in Octavia here. You were manning the text boards and we get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of text messages to the show every single day. If you ever text in and we don't read your text on the radio show or on the podcast, please know it's not for lack of trying. We just can't read them all. So Octavia, you were going through, did people say it was cute or did people say it was cringy? Because I can see an argument for both.
There was a vast majority of people that said it was cringy and
Thank
filled
God.
with red flags. There were very few people that was like, oh, that's cute.
Kat, what advice would you as a woman give to this young woman here who's
no.
out there going through all these hoops to try and get the guy that she saw once at the grocery store and thought was hot?
Well, I want to know if she's going to tell the truth eventually or if she plans to tell the truth eventually. I think that he needs to know that she's like this because if it is a red flaggy thing, which a lot of people believe it is, he needs to know. He needs to know. I don't know. There's nobody. Yeah, there's got to be nobody that thinks it's absolutely adorable. Octavia's right. There was nobody that messaged and said, wow, this is beautiful. The only one that came in that was more like, all right, maybe, was a guy that was like, I wish I was that hot. Somebody stalked me. But to say that is one thing. But truly, do you think that's stalking? Does that fall under stalking category? Like it might, right?
There, like I said, Kat, that is red flag and a half. They are popping up everywhere. Like, get this woman on some sort of a watch list and keep an eye on that guy that she's interested in because I'm worried about his safety.
Yikes. It's just not, when it happens so unnaturally like that and you orchestrated it, do you even think that's a win if he wants to go on a date with you? Like, you made that happen. He didn't necessarily want you. You forced your way into his life in a weird way, in a roundabout way.
You know what that guy needs to know is that this girl is a little out there. So if he decides there's not going to be a second date, he's got to be very, very, very gentle in how he does it. You can't just ghost her because she's not going away.
Yikes.
You've got to be firm in that, listen, this is not going to work out, not interested, whatever.
Go peep someone else's credit card.
And then change your locks and get a new credit card. That's my advice to you. I do want to get to the car sharing in a second, but first off, the White House tonight is hosting an official state dinner for the president of Kenya.
Oh.
The two leaders are going to discuss foreign policy over a gourmet meal. The female chef duo of Chris Comerford and Susie Morrison are going to take care of the culinary diplomacy, offering a new array of delicacies for the guest of honor from Kenya. The chefs will serve a 3-course meal of chilled heirloom tomato soup, a best of both worlds main course, which will feature smoked beef short ribs and butter poached lobster. Boy, there's nothing that says we're being responsible with tax dollars, and we really relate to the common folk, like dining on smoked beef short ribs and butter poached lobster.
Wow.
What do we have to work out with Kenya? What is Kenya? What are we doing here?
I don't know.
Why are we having a state? Not us, the Americans.
The Americans, yeah.
I only ask because anytime something like this comes up, it's because something is up. Something is going on, and they haven't told us yet, or they're giving out a shit ton of foreign aid that they don't want us to know about, or something like that. I'm curious, and I thought the visual of the president dining on butter poached lobster and smoked short rib while most people can't afford to eat at fucking McDonald's right now.
I get it.
It's real bad.
It's a weird look. I have no problem with leaders conversing and hanging out once in a while. Like when was the last time the leader of Kenya, for example, and the leader of the United States got together? I mean, I don't know the answer to that. But I think it's okay for country affairs, you know what I mean? For every country to kind of have that, continue that relationship, even if it's like a catch up and hey, we're good, right? Maybe that's what this is, maybe not. But I'm fine with that. But I hear what you're saying. When you're posting that out there to your citizens who are struggling, like, look what we're doing. Like, fuck off.
It's just so tone deaf. And it's like they can't help themselves. They get a perk and they rub it in the taxpayers' faces. And it's just wrong.
And then they'll just try to claim like, oh, but look at the chef as being, the chef's getting their time in the spotlight or whatever.
We're woke. We've got 2 female chefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fine. Good for you. It doesn't change the fact that you're spending $1 million on dinner when people can't afford to eat at a fast food restaurant. It's messed up. For anybody who has to share a car, now this could be siblings. It could be a household that has one car where the partners share it. There's any number of reasons that you may be in a situation where you have to share the vehicle. 2,000 married couples who share a car were asked about the most annoying things about the car when they get in it after their partner's been in it.
Okay, I can think of a couple things that might bother people. Let's take a look at this list.
The most annoying thing was having to move the seat back or forward as the top complaint. Newer cars have presets, but older cars don't always have those. Actually, some newer cars don't have that preset either.
But here's, this might be something that people have figured out when they do share a car. When you're done using it and you know the other person's going to use it, do you hit their set button? Like if they're set number 2, if they're preset 2, do you not hit it when you leave to make sure that they're going to be comfortable when they come in?
You must. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
When someone gets in the car, they get in the car.
Yeah.
Then they press the preset. Well, by then the damage is done. The knee has been
They
whacked.
still have to sit there and wait. Well, it moves into its position.
They've started turning blue because they can't breathe because it's too far forward.
Seeing, I can tell what perspective you come at it from because it's always the opposite for me. It's way back there. I can't even reach the fucking steering wheel. I have to hit my button so I can even reach the pedal. It's the opposite.
Having to readjust the mirrors.
Yeah, that's another one.
I don't know if there's going to... Why don't the preset buttons change the mirror? Mirrors seem very, very advanced these days.
The
they have
side mirrors,
screens
they
in
do.
them.
The side mirrors in the newer cars, they do. But the rear view mirror, no. I don't think I've seen that.
It should. All the technology that comes in cars today, fuck, yours practically drives itself.
Yeah, and mine, yeah, the rear view mirror, no. The side mirrors, like I said, yes. The rear view, no.
Getting the seat back just right, meaning the perfect level of recline. Shared car is one thing. But if you borrow somebody's car, don't recline their seat. If you do, remember exactly where it was, because that's not okay.
It's rude. My husband had to go to a work conference, and he drove one of his colleagues in the passenger seat. And when I went into the SUV the next day, I fell right backwards. This guy must have been fucking. This guy was like sleeping on the way home or something. I was, what the fuck?
They left you with an empty tank of gas.
Oh, that's mean.
You sick
That's
son of a
rude.
bitch.
That's rude.
You prick.
That's so mean.
Who would do that? Go around. Maybe I shouldn't say that. We're all busy. We're all busy. However, don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
And fill up the tank.
It's
now,
true.
If you don't have time to fill up the tank, you are obligated. Legally. Well, not legally. You are obligated.
It's now the law.
It should be. To inform the other person, hey, I didn't have time to stop and get gas, so just so you know, you've only got a less than a quarter tank, or you're on empty. You better get gas before you go anywhere else, because people don't always look at the gas tank when they first get in, especially if it had a lot in it when they got out of it.
Yeah.
The radio station is blaring.
Oh, yeah. You know what's frustrating, too?
That's probably our fault.
Yeah. Well, it's only frustrating when you get into the car and you're like on the phone or something, or whatever the case is, that you don't want it blared just yet. You're not in that mode yet. And it's there. But if you have a system that like boots up in the beginning, that's like, hello and welcome. But then it starts to play and you can't adjust the volume yet.
Yeah. My
My last car was like that. I couldn't adjust the volume until it fully was like, hello. And then it went through like the motions. And I'm like, fucking turn it down. It's so loud. Getting up at the time that we get up, too. Sometimes it happens at like 4:30 in the morning, right? I'm like, shut up.
Along the same lines, changing the radio station, i.e. when you get in the car and it's on a station that you don't like.
Yeah.
That's the worst. But I probably do that to my girlfriend all the time. Anytime I drive her car, I'm a flipper. I like to go through and see what the other stations are doing and things like that.
Yeah.
See if they've gotten any better. They haven't.
They haven't.
And I will probably leave it on a station that she really doesn't want to listen to. And that sucks too. You get in the car in the morning and you're ready to spend your morning with Scott and Kat, and then you're fucking Virgin on or something like that.
Oh.
What a way to ruin your day. Having to readjust the steering wheel position.
Yep.
Feeling too cramped. Mm-hmm. That's the seat position, I think, again. Leaving a mess behind.
See, I was waiting for that. I thought that'd be higher on the list. There's garbage. There's receptacles everywhere. You know what I mean? Everywhere you go, including your house. So if you're talking about parking in the driveway, bring the garbage in. Or if you have to make 2 trips, do it. But nobody wants to go into the car and see, your empty coffee cup or your whatever, Tim Hortons bag or your papers or whatever the heck you got laying around, right? It's kind of simple. Keep your stuff clean.
That would suck to have to share a car. I couldn't do it.
I couldn't either. But it's so funny that those memories, they're triggering from when I was a kid and I had to share a car with my brother and sister. It didn't even last long. I had my first car as soon as possible. I think for 6 months I shared a car, and I remember all those frustrations.
What else we got here today? Somebody texted in about the scooter.
Yeah, they wanted an update. I love that I love longtime listeners, and when they try to get updates from us from things we talked about months or sometimes even years ago.
On that vein, before we go on, I got a lot of DMs from Ottawa. People were listening to the weekly Pop 20 last weekend on, is it 105.9 Jump?
Yeah, on Jump, yes.
We have a couple of radio stations in Ottawa, and they carry the weekly Pop 20.
Jump Ottawa is a great station.
Dave has been off for a couple of weeks, so I've been filling in on the countdown.
It's 106.9, by the way.
106.9.
We should get to know that.
Okay, well, maybe they should give us a call and put us on regularly.
Ignore the other frequency we mentioned. They're probably losers. It's fine. No, they're great. They're great. Yeah, our buddies Tucker and Maura do the morning show there. We got our buddy Mr. D is on. Well, he's on everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tony and Dana
Tony
are on
and
that
Dana,
station
yeah,
too.
they do a great job. They're fun on social too.
So 106.9 Jump. Anyway, she was listening in Ottawa. Someone formerly from the GTA used to listen to us in Toronto and then lost touch with us when she moved to Ottawa. Lo and behold, she turns on the radio in Ottawa, and there's Scott and Kat, and she almost lost her fucking mind.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
So if you are one in that situation, you thought you lost us or whatever, we're still here. You can hear us on Energy 95.3 in the GTHA, and on 91.5 The Beat, Kitchener-Waterloo, Cambridge, Guelph, surrounding area, London, love you London, 103.1 Fresh Radio, and Barrie and Simcoe County, Fresh 93.1. Let's continue. The scooter.
Yes. So it was Ryan that texted him, by the way. Was listening late last summer / maybe early fall. I don't quite remember what had happened, but you let everybody know that you, on a whim, which is not like you, by the way, you don't tend to make those impulse purchases, do you?
Not unless I'm drunk.
Yeah. So drunk one night, I assume, Scott purchased.
The whole weekend, actually. It was a bender.
Scott purchased an electric scooter. Which is
why do you say it like scooter?
Scooter.
It's a powerful machine, Kat. It goes like 50 kilometers an hour.
Okay, I just don't like.
It has signal lights.
If you could tell me a million things you purchased, and I remember being like shocked because like that would be the last thing I could picture you purchasing to use for yourself. I could picture you purchasing that for someone else, but for you bought a scooter because I called bullshit. I'm pretty sure I called bullshit that you would use that thing.
You did, actually. You said that's going to sit in your fucking garage for a long time.
I did, and collect dust. And then I called you nicknames like Scooty Scott.
That was rude. was rude.
Scott and Scoot and Scotty and all this shit. I remember it. I remember it well. I think Dave even got in on the jokes on the pod at the time. So anyway, but Ryan messaged because he was sincerely curious if you dusted it off and scooted it around since the nice weather has hit. So go ahead. Have you?
I took it out once for a little rip. You know what I realized, though, is at first I thought, well, this will be great. I'll have a scooter and I won't have to drive around town. But I live in North Burlington, and all the fun stuff, the attractions and the waterfront and the nice hotels and everything, they're all downtown. That's like a 15-minute drive. It's not scooterable.
You don't, oh no. Is it traffic-wise that makes it not scooterable? Because that sounds like you could get there on a scooter in like 8 to 10 minutes.
If it holds the charge that long, I don't know. I've never tried. I've only ever gone a couple of blocks.
Worst case, you're abandoned in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
It's fine.
Absolutely. So I get stuck somewhere around the mall.
You just call your girlfriend to pick you up.
Right. So I have basically been keeping it in my area, and I don't really have anywhere to go with it.
Right.
There's a nice pub just around the corner from me, the Black Swan. It's great. And I thought, well, maybe I'll take it to the Swan. And then I read a story about how you can get a DUI even on a scooter. So I thought, well, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So now I don't really have anywhere to go other than just sort of riding around, wasting electricity.
So you just scoot around the block?
With my helmet on.
Okay,
being
good.
a safe little guy that I am.
As you should. You never know, too, with the electric stuff sometimes. You got to make sure you're safe, because what if it just starts blasting off out of nowhere?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was looking to see if you can get a radio for them.
Oh, can you?
No. You can get your phone and play that, but
Oh.
I kind of wanted like speakers and shit, but the handlebars are only so long. So it was getting very complex trying to do this.
Can I get you a bell?
No, you can get the engineers from down there, because if I actually put the speakers in, they're the ones who are
gonna
going to do it. They don't know it yet.
Bring your scooter in. Actually, I feel like Spencer would love that. We've
would.
got a colleague, one of our engineers, and he's a cyclist. And when I say that, I don't mean like he's hardcore cyclist. Like he's got a bunch of different tire sets. He cycles to work in the middle of February. He's an amazing guy. Anyway, he'd probably have fun doing that for you.
No, he certainly would. I would. That's an interesting one. Yeah, I might talk to Spence about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, using company resources for my own personal needs. Absolutely.
Have you ever done it? No, of course I have.
I held a fucking meeting in the boardroom yesterday that had nothing to do with radio. Nothing to do with it at all. It was a volunteer project that I'm doing.
I gave an engineer of ours from the old station money on the side to set up my first home studio for voiceover work. I did. It was great. He came to my house and everything. It was wonderful.
Do we have time? We don't really have time. We don't have time. No, I know. Okay, you know what?
We're out of time.
Do you think Dave will be in tomorrow? I don't think he will.
I'm not sure. We're going to say probably not.
Right. We will let Dave tell you what's going on with Dave when Dave returns or when his parole officer says it's okay. So as soon as that happens...
Don't listen to Scott.
I don't know what he's allowed to say and not say. I don't fucking know. He did it, not me. So... Actually, I think him and I are golfing tomorrow.
Oh, are you?
But I don't know if he's coming in for the pod or not.
Okay.
I don't know if he can talk yet. So, hey, listen, we will try and talk to Dave tomorrow. We will do a whole bunch of other things. Where are we at with the solo episodes? You don't do them when we're both together. It's usually when one of us is off. Somebody asked me to do a Trudeau episode.
What exactly would that entail? Everything, Trudeau?
Shit on Trudeau for 40 minutes.
You could probably talk for more than 40 minutes about Trudeau. Are you thinking about doing a solo? Drop a solo if you want.
I was thinking about doing a solo, mainly because of that, because there was something that came up just the other day. Did you see the Prime Minister in Philadelphia?
No.
Philadelphia, the birthplace of freedom, Kat. The Prime Minister was there, and he was talking about democracy. So I think what I'm going to do is, and I'll have it out probably by Monday.
Yeah.
It will be a short solo Scott on one piece of Justin Trudeau audio.
Okay, fun.
Yeah?
No, yeah, do it.
We're good. Good,
Yeah,
good.
drop it.
I'll record it on the golf course tomorrow.
A couple beers in only.
We haven't done a drunk podcast.
Oh, we still got to do that.
I know. People ask me, well, we mentioned it years and years and years ago, back when we were on the Toronto station.
I know.
And we said we would do it, and we will. We should actually get Octavia to
You know
coordinate
what?
that. We need a 2-4 and a ride home.
I'm on it.
Big old bottle of rye for me.
Actually, you know what? Skip the 2-4. Just get a couple of bottles of rye. Are you good for a whole bottle, or
No, I would probably die.
1 140 and 126er.
It's really up to you because you don't live as close to the studio as I do.
Right.
So it's really up to you what works for you because you got to figure out a way home. So you got to figure that out, or crash on Dave's couch.
Oh, I could do that.
Figure
too.
that out
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
summertime. Maybe in the summertime we'll try to aim for that.
We could totally do that.
I think that's doable.
I think it's absolutely
Okay,
doable.
we'll aim for that. We'll aim for like a July special or like drunk special or something like that. Drunk in July, we'll call it.
Are you sure though? Because you're very
What? What am I, Scott?
You've seen
me drunk a couple times. What am I? Huh?
honest, direct, blunt.
I do illegal shit usually. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. I am very law abiding, but I do
you
shit
were
that
right
gets
the
me.
first time.
I do shit that gets me in trouble sometimes. But there's not much. What could get me in trouble around here? I could lose my job. Worst case. Whoop-de-doo. And let me tell you what I feel about you, coworker.
Remind me to ask her questions about like John Global and shit like that when she's nice and drunk. That'd be
I
great.
like John Global. The guy.
Gotta go, everybody. Fun one today. Have yourself a great Thursday. Enjoy this sunshine. Another new episode of After 9 for sure tomorrow. Possibly another one before the weekend is over.
Bye, friends.
The skydiver dropped his phone from 12,000 feet and later recovered it without a scratch. Ooh. Yeah, the person that landed on is dead, but the phone is fine.
Researchers from Brazil just released newly discovered evidence. They tested bones from skeletons and found that Neanderthals had an ancient form of herpes. Either that or the night watchman at the museum has some serious explaining to do.
Guys, you see this? A fire broke out at a Tesla factory in California that started in an oven. Luckily, it's a Tesla factory, so the fire department was already there.